It is a beautiful Thursday in the city of Lagos State, and it is the Bomba right here on Urban Radio NG, where we give you everything politics, sports, entertainment, and everything else in between. Yes, it is another day on the Bomba right here, and we're here to give you a lot of gist. If you're just joining us for the very first time, welcome. And if you're a regular customer, it's still fine. Still welcome. Because today we're going to be talking about quite a number of things today. The president officially ended the emergency rule in River State. It's official. The daddy went on 6 months. We called it here at the bar, and it happened like it did. We're going to be talking a lot about that. A lot of gist from Dangote and marketers. We thought it was just Nupeng. Then an association I never heard before, DAPPMAN, apparently are also in the mix, and Dangote is telling them, go and do your worst. Another interesting announcement is there's another trillion naira that federal government, states, and local government are sharing as well. There's a lot of conversation about the fire incident that happened in Lagos. Also, that was yesterday or 2 days ago, if I'm not sure when exactly, but one of those days, I think it's 2 days ago. So that quite a number of things we're going to be talking about today at the bar. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show with us. Yes, I said with us because it's not just me. I'm Dolupo, and with me in the studio is Sola Rogers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Boom Bar. Join us. Let's go.
All right. And this is the news that everybody has been talking about. Or in fact, people have been anticipating it for the past 1 or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or maybe 5 months or 4 months ago or 3 months ago about River State. We know that as far back as March, specifically March 18th, the president had announced an emergency rule, state of emergency in River State after all the hula baloo that has been happening in the state for about a year or so. Between the governor and the state assembly. Then there was a lot of court cases back and forth. Then the president intervened at some point, and the governor said, and a lot of other people told the president to mind his business, and the man decided to mind his business. The Supreme Court came and gave an order. Nobody still followed that order, and it got deteriorated to the fact where pipelines were going kaboom at that point. And at that point, the president said, looks like there's no other choice but to take away power from democratically elected people. And then went ahead to suspend the governor, suspend the deputy governor, and all the House of Assembly members. That was March 18th. Now, fast forward 6 months after. Time really does fly, because I would not have thought that it's already 6 months. So he told them to go on a holiday, a long extended holiday. And as of yesterday, he had announced that looks like there is a lot of calm in River State now, and the governor and every other person can now resume their duties. So that's just it.
Yeah, a quick recap of what happened right there. It's a lot of intrigue in between that we don't even have all the time in the world to reach. There have been different angles to this particular issue. First, let's take a look at it, or take a stab at it from the angle of the opposition. The suspended governor, Fubara, who is a member of the PDP, officially a member of the PDP, is a benefactor and predecessor, is a member of the PDP. But there's a but to its predecessor's PDP membership. The but is that he's currently serving in an APC-led government. If there was not too much rancor, we would say it's a government of national unity, because he has a member of APGA also in their executive committee.
Yeah.
And there are other people from NMPP too and all of that. But what it is that nobody's saying that, so let's leave that. That's not even the bone of contention. Now, according to the president, and he should know, there are about 40 court cases that emanated from this pronouncement that he made 6 months ago.
Yep.
What some people were insinuating on social media is, oh, the judiciary did not do its job. I've seen 1 or 2 tweets like that.
How?
However, I like to assume and also believe that the president had checked the laws before making his pronouncements. At some point, PDP governors all got together and I think they went to court on this matter.
Yeah.
There were other people that went to court.
I think our case is still in court.
Yeah. But everything now is thrown out of the old window because you cannot sit on a matter that has changed. There's nothing to litigate now except they are looking for compensation, which is not impossible. In law, you just never can write it off. Now, having said that, Governor Fubara himself, just basically went, ghost on everybody. We remember that in the early days, he did go to Bayelsa to spend some time there.
Yeah.
Then at some point,
we didn't hear anything about it, but really,
he appeared in Abuja, where there was a meeting between himself, the president, who is an APC member, and his immediate past predecessor and Oga, because he served in Wike's government as an accountant general.
An appointee, yeah.
Yeah. So they all had a meeting, and of course, the snippets that came out is that everything had been settled because even the speaker, Amawule, was involved. And at the end of the day, everybody started bringing out sentiments of how the 6-month suspension is what has saved the entire political careers of everybody. That remains to be seen when we talk about political career. But at least the ongoing thing now is that they are back to status quo, and which is like from the beginning now, not the status quo of 4 members of assembly, making laws and passing budgets. There's still so many gray areas for them to touch on.
Exactly what I was going to say. But before we even get to that point, and I think that, you know what, we take people's reactions after that. Because I was not going to say that. I remember that I don't think there's maybe not so many gray areas in some. Take, for example, the budget. Remember another conversation that happened after the Supreme Court had declared that I think the 2 budgets that the governor had presented to the 4-man house was invalid and it was illegal, and he was supposed to represent it, which at that point the governor still did not listen, or there was a lot of back and forth. I'm coming. In fact, there was a day I think he stormed the state assembly, and there was a lot of conversation where even the governor cannot go to the assembly without being invited. There was a lot of.
You've forgotten when the place was demolished also.
The demolition was before. I'm saying after the Supreme Court judgment, which a lot of people, I say, me included, would have thought, okay, at this point, that nothing supersedes the Supreme Court anymore. So, Uncle Daddy, do you understand? Rearrange yourself. Even the Supreme Court had talked about the demolition that happened and all that. And nothing still came out of it, which was what's now brought about the state of emergency. I'm guessing that it will be back to square one for the governor, and the conversation will now be, go back to what the Supreme Court said. You will now represent this budget again, which was what you should have done 6 months ago, and we would have moved on. But no, you decided to show that, I'm a River State man. Now, where did River State carry you to? Where did River State Agidi carry you to? Carried you back to your house for 6 months. It will be always in history books that Siminalayi Fubara went on holiday, much needed holiday, for 6 months. And now, like you said, what does that now mean? Is it that everybody just goes back to, or we'll say that that 6 months was really needed for everybody to cool off?
Well, obviously, the narrative changed. The drums of war that were being beaten stopped sounding. Nobody was beating those drums anymore. The videos that they were making, because they had factions. I remember one particular video where some elected officials of the state, who were obviously part of Fubara's own team, there was a video when I will never follow you to see Wike.
Okay.
And from that you could deduce that there were plans for reconciliation.
Yeah.
Before that, before the state
where
of
is
emergency,
that conversation? The person that made that video, where would this
he
person do
tweeted.
that?
The person tweeted yesterday, and more or less welcoming the governor and all of that.
Okay.
Didn't really talk about not going to see Wike again. But before all of that, also before the state of emergency, there were talks of war. The pipelines were actually attacked.
Yeah.
That's a fact. Then again, a lot of sentiments. People are like, there's unrest in the southeast, there's unrest in the northeast and north central and northwest. Why didn't he declare state? But people forget that they are not the same scenarios. You get, more or less, the discussions have gone on behind the scenes. A lot of things has happened and have happened, and as it stands now, it means that for the governor to legally operate, he has to represent his budget. It has to be passed by the house, because it has to be a legal document. And that, I am hoping, will happen without any form of drama. Now, the other 4 members that had constituted themselves into the entire house, we hope that part of the negotiation
is that they'll go back.
They are absorbed back into the house without any drama.
Because the truth is now that, and it's funny how I really think that people really, really need to be. I don't think a lot of people think things through. Maybe you say that the governor, they had the backing of the governor, so they probably thought nothing was going to happen to them. But there was so much illegality that the governor was using them for, and it seemed like they were okay with it, because maybe you say they probably didn't think they were going to be speaker, and you were probably getting some perks as the purported speaker at that point or something. But it just does not make sense, Sha. That's my own. So again, of course, in line with all of that and taking a look at everything, there were appointments that were made by the governor, that's Governor Fubara, the Attorney General, the Electoral Commission, which was kind of reversed anyway. But commissioners, all of them, now have to go through the process again. Oh yeah, everybody
has to go through the process of nominating them all over again. Some that were part of that government that had resigned, are they going to be recalled as part of the peace agreement? Because some of them are obviously loyal to Nyesom Wike,
exactly,
as against being loyal to
the
Fubara,
governor,
and so they found it easy to resign and step aside and say, you know what, we're not going to be a part of all of this.
So we'll see. We definitely will see where all this drama would get to. I think the governor, not the governor, the administrator had put out a statement that he was handing over. This was, I think, the statement was released at midnight, that he was officially handing over. I'm sure a lot of people are waiting to hear from Governor Fubara. He's no longer suspended Governor Fubara. It's time to hear from him as well. Let's hear what he has to say. But before we leave that matter, quite a number of people have had a lot of things to say about the situation. One of it is Tonye Cole, who's a Rivers popular politician, saying that the governor will have zero powers upon resumption as Rivers governor. This is his own thinking. Would we say that the governor going on suspension, and maybe does that now mean that he has relinquished his powers?
Of course not. I think that's a tad bit exaggerated, although Mr. Tonye Cole is really entitled to his opinion, and he's also a stakeholder. He's from the state and is a big time politician involved in a whole lot of things that happen in that axis. But what it is that I don't think that is the case. I don't think it's supposed to be that bad for the governor. What it just means is that if we go by rule of law, he should just do everything by the book.
By the book, yeah.
You know,
I totally agree. Also, former PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has also now said that the lifting of Governor Fubara's suspension is not worth celebrating, and he's still insisting that what the president did was illegal. So reinstating him is not something, because the president did not follow the law in his books.
Yeah, this is the job of the opposition, and you like to assume that someone like Alhaji Abubakar Atiku knows what he's saying. Maybe he's studied. He was a former vice president.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he knows these things. Do you understand? And maybe his legal team also found some kind of infraction. You get? Now, if this is the case, regardless of if the 6 months had lapsed, my advice is that to prevent such things from happening, they should actually still stay the course and fight it to the end. That, look, Mr. President, what you did was wrong, was against the law. We'll go to court, even if it means going as far as the Supreme Court, to prove it, so that the next president or this president or any president will not breach it, if it is true that what Alhaji Abubakar Atiku is saying is correct. Because again, what if it's just political speak?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the job of the opposition is simple but hard. Simple in the sense that all you have to do is be reactionary. Anytime something happens, just react. Hard in the sense that your reactions must make sense.
It must also make
and
sense.
Also harder in the sense that when something right happens or good happens, you just pretend that you didn't hear or see it. This is the template. So anything other than this will not work. I'm telling you the truth. So it's difficult for an opposition person to see anything good about the government of the day. Because if you do that, then why do you want to replace the person?
Yeah, I get your point. I get your point. Anyway, talking about court, Mr. Dangote has come out specifically and told the court and told DAPPMAN that they should go and do their worst. Now, this and I'm saying this was a statement that was put out. Apparently, the man had a press parley, very interesting. I watched quite a number, very interesting conversation that he had. And we know that the conversation that I'd been having for like a few days was about Nupeng, and we know that there's already a court case now that is actually barring Nupeng from doing the drama that he performed. Was that over the weekend when the man said that they were going to start distributing or retailing petrol, and it was literally for free with their CNG trucks. Now,
not for free. The cost of
the logistics.
The petrol is not free.
How is it free?
You said. Listen to what you said.
Is it money? Is it your money that you used to pay the father?
Maybe if you get a chance to listen.
Why would somebody think that you feel it's free? No.
But you said
you know that.
But that's what you said. That's not what you wanted to say, but that's what you said. So I quickly had to help you by jumping in.
Anybody that assumes that you're old, I'm just telling you that one. Anyway, so in the conversation, Dangote Refinery then now added not just Nupeng in this matter. Depot and Petroleum Products Marketers Association of Nigeria, called DAPPMAN. Never heard of them until like 2 days ago. And they had said that DAPPMAN was alleging that they wanted to be paid 1.5 trillion naira per year as subsidy. Why? Because they say that Mr. Dangote is about to run them out of business, and so that they can buy from him. And I actually really sat down to read what they're saying. So according to them, according to Dangote says, come and buy fuel. Logistics is free. And my truck will carry it for you. Abi? Single. Then I'll say, no, they don't want fuel that truck will carry. That is through the sea. They want to carry.
Yeah, they need to use barges based on the quantity and all.
Yeah. Dangote now says, I don't have money for that. That, however, carrying it through that adds a 70 naira retail, 70 naira addition to each liter. And in 1 year, the cost is about 1.5 trillion naira. Now, they now said, what is 1.5 trillion? Are you people going to pay that money as well? Because they also want to sell at the price that Dangote is selling his own fuel, yeah? They now say, no, there are only two ways. It's either Mr. Dangote forfeits that money, pays it out of his pockets. Keep in mind, Mr. Dangote does not have badges. Oh, that we know, sha. Or, start 70 naira, he should add it to his old fuel. So, Dangote pump price, increases again. Mr. Dangote now says, I have no plans of increasing price, and these trucks are the only way I have plans to fill this. You can buy it, carry it however you want to carry it, but it will not be my business. So he's saying this is this subsidy matter that has carried Nigeria to where it is today, and nobody is paying subsidy to anybody or for anybody. Now, they came out to say that, oh, Mr. Dangote is lying and that they're giving him 7 days to retract the statement, blah, 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 blah. However, Dangote Refinery now replies and says, please go to court. We will settle it in court. We're not retracting our statement, and we stand by every allegation we have made against you. Kaboom.
All right. This is my take on all of this, and it's going to be not my take though, maybe my take, but this is going to be a landmark arrangement, a movement. It's going to be a milestone in the history of this country, especially when it comes to energy. And energy basically determines everything. The Nigerian economy is driven by it, especially PMS. You know, on the one hand, someone has somehow, with his own personal funds and with loans and support here and there, invested $20 billion in the largest single train refinery in the world, with the capacity to meet Nigeria's local needs on a day-to-day basis. As long as there is crude, it can meet whatever demands Nigeria needs. On the other hand, you have a group of people who have been in that business before this refinery came on stream. They became necessary when the government-owned refineries all packed up. And Nigeria started one of the dumbest things in the history of dumb things, selling crude to buy refined byproducts. So these guys became the go-to people. You know, they owned the infrastructure, the tank farms, like we call them, and they called the shots. So they had the license to also import whatever type of fuel that Nigeria needed. And they've been at it for decades. So you really don't expect them to go quietly into the night. Say, oh, there's a new sheriff in town. Let's go look for another place where our services are needed. No, they're going to look for a way to survive one way or the other, because I don't want to even say they've been feeding fat off Nigeria. I'm just going to say that they have been in that business for so long and they've made billions of naira. I won't say dollars. When things happen, who is benefiting the most and who is on the losing end? And what will be their reactions? So, on the one hand, the DAPPMAN people know that the refinery does not need them, which means it's the end of their business.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
That's
a fact.
Mr. Dangote was saying, that any truck driver that is part of Nupeng that wants to, that his truck drivers are well paid. And that anybody that wants to come, they should please.
That's Nupeng. I'm not even talking Nupeng now. I'm talking DAPPMAN.
DAPPMAN, yeah.
Now, I was going to come to that, but you see, DAPPMAN, they're more or less, if you look at it, they're dead. That association is dead. That group is dead. You know why? Except they can use their own funds, either borrowed or found somehow, to import PMS, AGO, DPK, and land it in Nigeria
at a cost that is
good quality, same quality as Dangote, at a cost that will allow them be at par with
compete.
Dangote or be lower. If they can't do that, their other option is to go and build their own refinery. We all know how long it took Dangote to build his refinery. By the time they are done building, would the business still need them? So in reality, they're virtually gone. But without wanting to sound, the death knell.
These are the people that, at the government, if it was before, that even the government was at the mercy of these people.
Yes, that's what
Now,
I'm saying. When your
the government is not
down,
their business. Dangote is a private person. So you cannot say, oh, we are going on strike and we're not going to bring fuel into the country.
Dangote is a private person, but there's government investment in that refinery too. The government that invested in it knew what they were doing too. Mm-hmm. They have a stake in Dangote refinery. Yeah. We all know this as a fact, So, but of course, it's predominantly private. And government made pronouncements. When I say government, I mean Tinubu made pronouncements on day one that looked like they were tailored to the survival and the growth of Dangote refinery. There is no way Dangote refinery would have been what it is now if Nigeria was still subsidizing. Because what it means is that Dangote will get crude and finish production, and his crude will be at a certain price. Then the people who are collecting subsidy can land it at a higher price and still get paid. If they land at 900 naira per liter, government has to now give them, like they were giving them for years, 200 or 300 naira to bring it down to 700 or 600 naira. Which now means that Dangote must now match that for him to be able to sell locally, or else is forced to export. So all of those policies had to be in alignment.
Even NNPCs, refineries, this, like you said, so it means that even these policies had to favor even the government refineries that are supposed to be
any refinery that's based in Nigeria, even the smaller ones, the modular refineries, the Walter Smiths and all of them, So that's why you don't hear much about them. But now they are in a system, they are getting crude, they are paying naira for their crude instead of dollars. And, there's always time for the effect to kick in, and that effect has kicked in now. At some point, remember, petrol was going to almost 1,500 naira per liter. It was in some parts of Nigeria. In Lagos, 1,213 at the pump. And people are like, don't we have local production? This is now the effect. That's why he's able to keep dropping the price, the pump price, based on market forces.
Please, speaking of which, when is this fuel, this 841 fuel, when are we going to start seeing? Because I'm still seeing 865.
Good question. We'll find out. So as it stands now, DAPPMAN, like Dangote claims, now came with this offer. But it's funny. It looks like when you are not holding any cards at the gambling table, you are not holding any cards, and you are still trying to call the shots.
Yeah.
So unless they go build their own refinery and they build it so fast, or they find a way to land petrol lower, which will
just benefit from Dangote,
which will benefit Nigeria if they can find, somewhere where they will buy for less. It's hard. It's almost impossible because look at it now. Dangote has also started exporting to America. It's exporting to parts of Europe. It's exporting to a couple of other African countries. So as we stand now, it pays Nigeria more to stand on the part of the person or on the side of the person that
is giving us cheaper fuel.
Yeah, until DAPPMAN can do otherwise.
Okay, and I just wanted to put it out there, Mr. DAPPMAN. Remember that I think Boatu is building his own refinery, so maybe you should step it up quickly before another person's refinery comes up again and then there's no market again.
Well, the last thing I just want to say is that at times it's good to know when to fold. And if there's anybody in DAPPMAN that gets to watch this or listen to this, I think it's time you guys look for another line of business. But if you want to stay in this business, it's not going to be business as usual.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention names, but earlier today, I found out who the lawyer of Nupeng was. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. Anyway, so it's actually very interesting. That conversation has not ended, this back and forth, but we definitely will follow it and we'll see what is going to be coming out of that. And before we leave the matter of court, an IPPIS staff has now decided to plead guilty to diverting salaries of former government workers. Why? So there's a 2-count charge of corruption against 2 employees of IPPIS, saying that they were diverting salaries of some former staff members of the Federal Medical Center, Ibutimeta, Lagos.
There's still serious rot in the government.
When did IPPIS begin that you people already... Oh, God.
The need to eliminate corruption is what led to the IPPIS.
Yes.
IPPIS on you. That's what they are doing. Now, in serious terms, the whole essence is to ensure that people get paid as at when due what is due to them. And that ghost workers do not
can be eliminated.
But we all know that it's not true. To a large extent, at some point, the government called for a verification of staff. And it is rumored. Now, I would not say I have proof. Let me not. I don't. But it is rumored that there are Nigerians living abroad earning a salary in Nigeria. They are federal government workers that are living abroad and these are the things that the IPPIS was supposed to eradicate. But you see, when there are criminally minded people involved in trying to clean up a place, they always put those bugs there. They put the loopholes there. They put the access to the back end so that they can divert funds and continue to steal. Because if you look around and you look at the lifestyle of some government workers, let's even leave the Murphys of this world, who are the ones that could print money when they wanted it. Let's look at these people that we don't talk about, the civil servants, the bad ones amongst them. You see people who are level 9, 10.
They're balling.
And their own hotels.
And
do you know what it means to build an hotel?
Do you know what?
They're building houses.
Do you know what these people did? Basically. So apparently, the staff members that are no longer... They're not dead or anything.
They don't work there anymore.
They just don't work with the federal government anymore. And the account office is supposed to stop it. And they just chose not to stop it. And they were just collecting the person's money.
You see, this thing has been from the time of Noah. You know Noah in the Bible.
I'm sure that the only reason why the person that left was maybe not arraigned was because he probably did his full documentation and informed everybody that...
Oh, did I say Noah? Sorry, it's like Cain and Abel, from the time of Cain and Abel. That's when they've been doing ghost workers. Remember now, when somebody went to go and kill another animal and use the fur on it to collect what it did not work for, that's where these ghost workers have learned from.
Okay.
It's from that time. There were people that were in university that would only go once a month to just go and collect salary. or go once in 3 months whenever it's required, because they are on the payroll of the government. And the technology that they brought did not stop it. But there's technology that can stop it, though. Let's hope that this particular government will fix it, because they did something like that in Lagos.
Anyway, moving on from that, the federal government, states, and local governments are now shared 2.2 trillion August revenue. So this was announced by the FAAC.
Please
so another trillion for
don't gloss over this thing. You know, it was not too long ago when they were barely sharing 700, 800, 900 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, billion.
Billion, actually.
Billion. And now they're doing trillions.
And this
and
money
they're still saving money.
Oh, this is money they are going to share. This is not the money that they save. This is not out of the savings.
So there's one thing that we must face, whether you are affiliated to government or not, whether you like Tinubu or not, whether you like Fubara, you like Mba or Sanwo-Olu or any Makinde or any of them. There's something that every Nigerian must do, and which is to actually join the campaign to keep the governors honest.
Yes.
Join the campaign to call out the local governments.
We need those people actually need to be questioned about how our monies are being spent.
I saw someone, he's not a politician. I saw a write-up that he put up on Facebook, and it was like, oh, he's supporting any politician that will come out boldly to say that he will return subsidies. And this person is supposed to be educated. I know him. I know someone that knows him. I don't know such people. And I said to myself, honestly, none of them have been bold enough to say that they're going to do that. They just say, oh, they would have done it in a more clinical way, which is story. The real reality on ground now that we're facing is that subsidies are gone.
Subsidies are gone. There's no money for you to pay any subsidy
and now
anymore.
That we're not getting the subsidies from us going to buy petrol and us buying forex to import things, because once you buy forex, you are definitely importing. Except you are one of those people that use dollar as an investment. I know there are people who actually trade in this. It's not that online forex, so real buying and selling of the dollar, to make more naira. In brass tacks, in reality, subsidies are gone. So the scenario we are in now is that what are the effects of subsidy being removed? And how does it get to you and me and everybody on the street? It's through better accountability, transparency, and governance.
All these monies that are now,
and it's not just at federal level. It's even more at the local government and the state level.
Exactly. It's actually very, 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 very important at the moment. Now let's go on from that and let's go to a very tragic incident that happened in Lagos State, where the Afriland towers actually caught fire, and it's official. There's now been reports that UBA staff and FIRS staff, in fact, FIRS had also put out a statement that about 4 of their staff died in that incident. There's a lot of back and forth about it. The truth is that fires happen around the world every day, everywhere. Let's not lie about it. But I really hope that this also helps us put, not even, before we even get to fire service, how many buildings do we build that help curb fires? How many buildings in Nigeria are built that have sprinklers, that have working fire extinguishers? How many buildings have where people are actually taught properly on how to evacuate buildings when there's fire and all those things? Those safety measures that are going to help each and everybody even before a fire service comes, because everybody goes to when the fire service comes. Before even if their response time is good, a lot of things can be done before they even get there. How many of these buildings are actually done properly to that point where everybody knows what to do at every point in case there's a fire?
Yeah, that's very, very important. We're talking safety now, and we're focusing more on fire safety. And this is off the back of what happened in Lagos 2 days ago. A particular building caught fire, but guess what? Even after they thought they put out that fire, two other buildings also, caught fire too, and that was in the dead of the night. Do you get? But let's talk safety. We talked about sprinklers. Smoke detectors, as small as smoke detectors, you understand? Again, even in the construction of these high-rise buildings, because we're not talking 1 story, 2 story where everybody can actually rush out the stairs. What about the design of these buildings? I was in a building once, and they had this embedded into the stairway. They had this neon strips that even when it's dark and there's no light, you can trace your way out of that building. You get, these are basic things that every building should even have, not to talk of high-rise buildings. Every building should have 2 exits. There's a reason for it.
At least
it's because if there's a problem with one, you should be able to get out of the other. And now, beyond high-rise buildings, even in Nigeria, the way we build our houses, bungalows, 1 story, 2 story, 3 story buildings, they all have burglary proof. So at times, those things keep you in when you need to get out. Yes, they can keep or deter people from coming in through your windows, but they are also fire hazards to a large extent. But what do you do to mitigate that? It's to ensure that your exit points are free all the time, and they are easily accessible for the people inside to get out. Fire extinguishers, as basic as fire extinguishers, how frequently do we test them for the ones that even have them? With a lot of things that we've been doing in the past, we need to stop. We need to really now step up our game to prevent this kind of events from happening, because again, internally, if a lot of things were in place, it will reduce the loss of life and property.
Yeah, that's it.
Safety. But you see, it goes beyond the people who have constructed these buildings to the regulators, the building regulators, the fire services and all. The fire service job is beyond just going to fight fires. I remember when we were setting up a business in Ibadan, we actually went to them. We voluntarily went to the fire service. They came, they did their assessments, commended us for some of the things that we did, and advised us on some of the things that we had to do. We got smoke detectors in place in every room. We ensured that there was 2 exits. We got the right type of fire extinguishers, the wet ones, the dry ones, depending on the equipment. These are things that we, and they also gave us a timeline of how frequently we were supposed to even organize fire drills and service the extinguishers and all of that. And this is something I know that I did religiously over the period of time when I was involved with that organization. And these are the things that we should have as a standard everywhere. Everywhere. Safety, a lot of things have been left to chance. We've left too many things to chance. Now, let's now talk about that fire incident. It's a very sad scenario. Videos of people jumping out of windows or trying to get out, and people getting hurt in the process. They were even lucky that there was some kind of ledge or landing where people could kind of scrabble to and everything. But we must commend the fire service to a large extent for their reaction time, but also now ask government to invest in more equipment that can save lives. Like in practical terms, because I know when these things happen, they get politicized too easily. But the families who have lost their loved ones, the businesses that have now been affected by this, they feel the pinch more, and they are hoping that maybe government would have reacted faster. I also know that a lot of these private organizations have their own internal fire engines. They have their own safety equipment in place.
Maybe it's time more buildings invest in that. I was
it's
also
very
going
important
to say that, like you said, in building our buildings, yes, it's this. We're talking about each building. Another thing that I think that, take for example, Lagos needs to look at and is very serious with Lagos Island. is the proximity of a house to another. That also is not good because it means that the fires are quick to spread to other buildings. It's a major fire hazard that also needs to be looked into. We can't just be building slices of houses and it's not right.
So that is also very important. There's something called a setback. It's not only for roads, it's also for buildings. There's supposed to be some kind of gap between
distance between each
but
house.
We finally we hardly find it. We finally had it. We hardly find that.
Sure.
Again, the hydrants at some point they were fixed, I think, under Governor Fashola. I don't know if it's been updated or maintained since then. Hydrants also help. The estate where I live, I see people go to hydrants that were installed by the estate to open them for all sorts of
water.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't understand. It's not, at least thank God there's water coming out, but it's not meant to be that. But again, even some of the people that installed hydrants, they don't have the hose, the long hose that they're going to connect to it. These are life-saving things, and if you decide to build high rises, you must also put, for many years I'd always, there used to be a program that we used to watch when we were younger, Engine 23. It was a series about a fire station in America, and when they're scrambling, when they have to leave during the scramble, one of the things that I noticed is that they used to have this pole from the first floor where people would slide down.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like, shouldn't some of these buildings start looking at those kind of things?
Yeah.
Like a chute or something where people could actually just... Yeah, because we should also think about lives. It's not just about structures and buildings and money.
Yeah.
We should also think about saving as many lives as possible.
So our thoughts, our prayers are with everybody that have lost people in that...
Inferno.
In that inferno, a very, very sad one. Still sticking to Lagos. Lagos is suspending wetlands reclamation projects, and they're saying that a lot of these reclamation projects do not have proper documentation. So you until you have those proper documentation, and for environmental reasons, we really just can't be doing things just because.
Yeah, most of the reclamations are done, in conjunction and with approval of the government. You get both state and federal. So it's also on them to ensure that the people they have given the license to reclaim land are following strictly, the rules of the game. It's very important.
Okay, now let's move on quickly from that. India has announced saying that their infections from a brain-eating amoeba is doubling in the country. Some people that like to be jetting around, I don't know, but maybe you should reduce your jetting around.
Amoeba is the right pronunciation.
Yeah.
But you see, when we were in school,
oh God,
it's amoeba, because we recognize the eba in that word, amoeba. That's on a lighter note. On a more serious note, it's as scary as it can be that there's an amoeba that is attacking the brain. Now, I don't even want to know how it happens, where it happens, but I'm hoping that they're quickly going to curb it before it becomes a pandemic, before it becomes another COVID, and before we all need to start shutting down and being locked down or locked up. Please, Ejo, thou shalt move fast on this.
Let's know what we are doing at this point. Quickly, gold, which is natural occurring gold, got missing in a Paris museum and was stolen.
Heist.
Worth about 600,000 euros. However, what the museum is now saying is that it's not even just the cost of the gold; it's the fact that it's more of like a relic.
Yeah, it's not gold bars that have been processed or refined. It's actually in its raw form. You get, and the funny thing about this heist in Paris is that sometime in July, their security systems were hacked.
Yeah.
And Ezekiel Nathaniel more cool in the situation Dolupo will translate that for
I don't
you.
know what that means.
What it means basically is that how is it that something like that happened in July, then the goat takes a walk in September?
Anyway, going all the way to the US, my thoughts and prayers are with the people that live in the US, because another shooting happened again where 3 police officers actually got killed in Pennsylvania. It's like it's a daily occurrence. Again, my thoughts and prayers are with people that live in the United States.
There's some fact-based organizations that I constantly read from and research into, and the stats that they put out about this gun violence in America, they're actually very scary for me. I just hope and pray that America will find a way to solve this very big problem. It's really unfair now. 3 law enforcement in fact, nobody deserves to be killed in my books, and now you're talking about 3 law enforcement officers who would usually be out there to protect people. Now they're being killed.
Yup. Anyway, moving on from that, let's do a little bit of sports quickly before we go. Before we move on to that, just want to drop it out there. Today is Tubaba's birthday. He's 50.
Welcome to the 50s, brother.
He's 50 today.
Two-Face has been around for so long that you wonder, shouldn't he have been 50? But we know he's not using football age. He has no reason to. So congratulations to him. He's been through it all. He's seen the highs and the lows, but he has stayed strong. And I want to say a big shout out to him and happy birthday, Two-Face.
Okay, now Super Eagles have dropped again to 45th in FIFA rank.
Okay, more news from more important angles.
Are you serious right now? Anyway, FIFA has officially opened a case against South Africa for fielding the ineligible player against Lesotho. So it looks like finally.
So the thing about it is, even if they dock South Africa 3 points, it's Benin Republic that's going to benefit because they are in second position. And they are still coming to play Nigeria with a coach that used to coach Nigeria that acts an axe to grind.
Anyway, Nigerian athlete Ezekiel Nathaniel has now got into a 400-meter hurdles final. I was reading it, and it was, I think the story is that I think in the 80s, that was the last person, the last Nigerian to ever be in the 400-meter hurdles final. That was over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It's been...
Can't be the 80s though. If it's over 30 years ago.
It's the 80s now.
So you...
It's over 30 years ago.
Okay.
It's 80s actually.
Okay.
Yes, I'm very correct. Well, I don't understand. What are you
I'm not saying anything.
Say what you want to say.
I can't say it. So moving on.
Well, we are going because I don't understand what you're saying. Anyway, at the end of the day, that's all we'll be able to take today on the bar. Thank you for listening.
What about the diphtheria story in Ogun State? What's that about?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think people should really just be careful. Looks like there's diphtheria on the rise in Ogun State. That's it. And on that note, that is all we have to take today on the bar. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3 p.m. West African time to give you another wonderful edition of the Boom Bar. Do have a beautiful, beautiful day ahead.
Thank you.